Ken, last week it was very much about what happened at stoppage. This one was even starker at stoppage. How did that unfold, and what could you do or not do?
Oh, I think it was really clear. We learned some really valuable lessons from the last, in the 2 weeks of the finals that we played in. The game steps up in the contest. Everyone talks around it. It's not like we're surprised by it and ambushed by it in any way. We weren't good enough to be able to cope with it. So that's great for our young mids, because they've been highlighted a lot through this year about how much growth they've had. But every one of us got a valuable lesson in the last 2 weeks. We'll get better.
So how do you deal with the question of whether the game can stand up in September and whether the group can stand up in September when the results work against that logic?
No, it's reasonable to sit there and say that it's got to get better. I would say that we can't refute that. We've got to sit there and go, yeah, we definitely have to get better if we're going to win in September. We had a great run of 13 wins and we were playing some really strong footy, but look, the last 7 or 8 weeks, for a number of reasons, we weren't near that form for the last 7 or 8 weeks, and it got showed up in the finals.
What's the main reason in that, Ken?
Sorry?
What's the main reason in that 7 or 8 week patch?
Oh, I think there's certainly some issues around personnel. There's no doubt about that, but it's also, and it wasn't just in one spot. It was right across the team. And then once you lose some confidence in parts of the game, it can be a real challenge to chase it back up. And I think we all seen and watched, the last couple of weeks. We've seen the best form get through to the last 4 from what I've looked at and what I've seen over the last bit. Carlton and the Giants have played no doubt as good a football as anyone in the last 8 or 10 weeks, and they rightly earned their way through to prelims.
Was your midfield not prepared to get its hands dirty enough?
No, I don't think that was the case. I think they got their hands on the ball. They just weren't clean enough when they got their hands on the ball, in my view. I thought they reached and they grabbed a little bit too much. They've been able to get in and out of traffic quite quickly as a group. Tonight they weren't able to sustain or be clean enough when they took that ball, and to the Giants' credit, they were putting them under physical pressure, and then the ball got coughed up, and I felt like the ball fell the Giants' side of the contest, and they were there ready to go.
What about gut running in that second quarter?
Yeah, no, I think all those things happen because your first opportunity to touch the ball, we weren't clean enough. Then you can get found out in lots of parts of the game when it comes chasing the opposition all the way down the other end of the ground.
How do you rate the season? How are you viewing the season, I guess, now?
No, I'd say at the start of the year, we set out to win the premiership. We didn't do that, so that's my answer to how I rate the season.
And I think you said yesterday about taking unnecessary risks. The question only comes up if you don't win. In hindsight now, did you take any unnecessary risks with the conditioning of some players? Or?
No, we took the risks that we had to take around what was available to us and who were the people who were capable of playing at the level. We got some really young players who are very much too young to play at AFL. And look, people can say, we had some injured players or some blokes less than perfect. I can guarantee you that if some of the replacements were put out there, that would have been a much, much worse result. We closed within 16, 17 points in the last quarter. We kicked 2 goals, 9 to 2 goals. We never looked like winning the game, but we still had enough opportunity to put some real pressure on, and the Port people got behind them, and we just couldn't finish. But we somehow we were almost a chance in that game. I'm not quite sure how, but we're almost a chance.
You have enough clarity now on what you need to take the next step?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, anything else?
I think we keep building towards what we need to be, and we're just always building on the clarity and the information that we get. We know exactly what we're trying to chase, and I think we're down the path of chasing that a little bit.
So those young midfielders and what they saw tonight was they were blitzed at times. How much can they adapt to that situation?
They'll be fine.
To make sure that
they'll be more than fine. They'll cope at that level in their careers. There's no doubt about that. They were shown up tonight. That's no doubt. But they'll grow from that as they have right through this year. The 2 or 3 boys that get talked around all the time. They're basically having their first years in the midfield bar corner. So they will, but it's a hollow get better tonight. I'm not going to spend too much time there.
Is the midfield, I guess, is that going to be the main lesson you're going to learn from tonight?
No, we learned through the finals that defensively we weren't strong enough again as a collective, and that's defence is not just the back six, it's the That's the whole team, and we weren't certainly strong enough. Everyone points that out really clearly, and you know, we're aware. It's not like we're ignorant to it. We've always spent a lot of time on our team defence, and we look to improve.
Is it a personnel thing that gets that better, or do you have to make any changes to the system to address that defensive issue?
We never sit still. I think that's the certainty of any part of our game, whether it's offence, defence, contest, stoppage. We don't sit still in any, because if you do, you get past, and we need to keep moving forward in all parts of the game, and we will certainly do that. So that will mean game style that we will look at and adjust and tinker with, and then there's also personnel that, you know, every year. I mean, Tom Jonas retires tonight, you know, so you always have to move with the times. Football doesn't sit still for anyone.
Have there been any other announcements in the rooms tonight? No. Sometimes that happens.
No, Tom's the only one that we've talked about.
Do you have any clarity on Travis? I mean, he performed well tonight.
I think like everyone, now the season's come to an end, we'll sit down and go through our whole list, and we'll have all those discussions, and we haven't had them since before that, and neither we should. Everyone wants you to do list management decisions before the time of the season's over, and we were in the middle of the finals, so we'll sit down and have those conversations, not just with Travis. I get that there's some great fascination around Trav, and his career has been such a great career for a long time, but every one of our players will get some more information, and we'll work towards making ourselves better.
The decision pretty much up to Trav, like whether
we'll work through them. As I said, we'll work through all those decisions, and I don't want to. I'm not trying to disrespect the question around Trav, but if you can imagine if I get caught on that, where do we go? We have to do the right thing, and that is sit down at the end of the year, which is now, and go through what that looks like.
How does the group start to handle the pressure better in knockout finals? Obviously, twice in 3 years now. First half, by half-time, the game's been a long way out of your reach. Obviously, you came back tonight more than 3 years ago, but is the group unable to stand up under the heat of pressure? And what does it do?
What do you think I'll say, Matt, to that question?
I'm just wondering, is there an issue with...
No, it's still continuous improvement that has to come, and if it doesn't, the results will be delivered as we've got in the last couple of times we've played finals. But we've been top 4 3 out of 4 years. We haven't won, and we get it. I understand all that, but we're doing lots of things right to get us to a point. We've still got another mountain to climb. There's been a team that's playing next week that have Brisbane, who have lived in a similar space for a good period of time. The experience makes you stronger and makes you better.
Is the group getting spooked at all?
No.
Do you feel any rising tension because of the results, that you're not getting them to a grand final? That old question, you've been there 11 years, you haven't taken them to a grand final. How's that? Because you know that's coming.
If I was, do you reckon I'd still be around? That's the simple answer. No, I'm not. I've got a great support crew that helped me coach this football club, and everyone is involved in the coaching of the football team, and then we've got a great group of players who are all trying to get to ultimately what we're all trying to get towards. This is a new group. We've worked through a lot of players. No, I'm not, Rooch. I'm not worried about what that scrutiny sounds and looks like. I get that it'll come. I can't avoid that. I will handle it though. It's okay.
In hindsight, looking back, that period where you did lose 4 and sort of coming into the back end of the season, could you actually see that you perhaps weren't as primed to challenge as some of the other sides?
I think with some of the personnel issues that we were dealing with was making it pretty challenging for us. That's what I would say. But I thought we regathered ourselves pretty well with what we could possibly do. And, ideally I would have loved to have a fit Marshall. I would have loved to have a fit Dixon. I would have loved to have a fit Mackenzie. That's what happened. And we didn't have them though, and they were brave enough to go and play for us as long as they could.
What was the message at half-time, given the way you were getting smashed in that second quarter?
Unacceptable with the way we were playing. We all owned it. Me, the players, we all owned it. And, we responded a little bit in the second half, but we were never in the game. As I said, the scoreboard was flattering by then.
How's Scott, I guess, was it an ankle that he...
Yeah, he's another one that was sore. He rolled his ankle tonight plus his knee, so that's what happens. It's a brutal season. People, I don't know, I say it every year, you've got to wait till the end of the year before you know how you've gone and how you haven't gone. The hardest part of this sometimes is being able to cope with that number of games that we have to play. And we fell out of form, and we fell out of condition.
After 21, and even after last year, you felt like you were building something, and TJ, I think, even said it on the ground tonight. What gives you faith that this is different and you can go further next year?
Yeah, again, mate, it's hard. Look, if I sit here and sort of say what I think, they get picked to pieces in some ways, but you'll make some assessments from the outside. We'll read them. We'll disagree with them at times. We'll agree with parts of it probably, but the reality is we've just got to go back to work and do what we do. All right?
Cheers.
Thank you.